Welcome back. It's the last lap of the show. This last official trading day in the month of September, and we're turning our attention to issues with regards the president's ministers, which should be announced anytime soon. So we're focusing on another key sector, finance. We talked about the banking industry, and now we're talking about the Finance Ministry. And joining me to look at the issues there is an economist, Dr. Ayodele Teriba. Dr. Teriba, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining me on the program. Now, looking at the issues with regards to the economy, the Minister of Finance, who will be announced, is coming in at a very precarious time, I'd like to put it that way, because of the plethora of issues that are already on the table. But just give us your thoughts with regards all what's going on in the economy.
Well, the situation has become better defined, since the new regime came in. The administration had already made some announcements that you don't expect a minister to go back on. We've heard about the Treasury single account. We also know that a few of the other leakages, like the dispensation of abuses to duty waivers, of excess subsidy payment and so on. I do think that the regime has created a good background. I have, reasons to expect, that the fiscal situation should improve, and that should not be difficult, for that ministry to contribute to the recovery of the economy.
Now, one of the issues is budget planning. Of course, the MTEF has already been sent in for validation for the 2016 budget. And so the new minister comes in and, already meets that document on the table. Looking at what should be the composition of that budget, what should take more? Should it still be recurrent expenditure, or should we now be focusing more on capital expenditure?
Well, the divide between capital and recurrent is going to depend on the total revenue that could be mobilized. Of course, you will want to meet recurrent commitments before you look at what is left that could be spent on capital. Salaries must be paid. Overheads must be met. So I think the key variable is how much revenue comes in. With TSA, there are reasons to be optimistic about that. And you should also know that the implementation of the TSA marks a departure from the past, in which the so-called autonomous government agencies that collect the revenue spend a big chunk of it for their own capital projects. Their capital projects don't show up in the federal capital budget. With the TSA, all capital projects will show up, in the federal. So I would expect that one of the impacts of the TSA is that it will raise the capital vote, because it will capture capital spending that had previously been extra budgetary.
But then how do you think it's going to work with the federal government's projection? According to the Vice President, the federal government is going to try the zero budgeting experiment, if you like to put it that way.
Well, to see things clearly, a situation in which in the past you basically just continue previous year's budget. I think to make a good start, it makes sense to do zero-based budgeting. It makes sense for the new regime to be clear about their priorities, which means that ministries have to justify what they will get rather than hope to get what they got last year, without that much scrutiny.
So based on that now, we know that there's some ministries, of course, that generate revenue on there, or most of them, generate revenue, and then tying it in with what you've just said with regards, going in the right step, not taking, previous budgetary allocations and adding up to the new one and, you know, carrying on status quo. For you, which sectors in particular should be focused on now in this new budget? Should it be, we talked about capital and recurrent, of course, but which sectors in particular, or what parameters do you think should be given to, for instance, exchange rate, and that's a very topical one, and of course the benchmark for oil price?
Oh, okay, you are looking at
composition now of the budget.
Well, you don't have much room to maneuver as far as the benchmark for the budget is concerned. Where oil levels are now, way below, you know, the break-even oil price for Nigeria. So what you hope, so it's not going to be about the oil price. It's going to be much more about how much non-oil revenue can compensate for the decline in oil price. And that's why every effort that the administration is making to try and block leakages and increase, you know, what comes into the coffers will be significant. It's not for you and I to guess. It's for the government to tell us what the impact of the measures that's been announced has been in their first 4 months, you know, and on that basis they can project for next year. So with good enough non-oil revenue and complementary reforms to the monetary policy situation, right now you have a lot of monetary policy barricades that you need to fix to ensure that the Naira is stable.
Okay, so Dr. Riba, we've got about 60 seconds or less. We've talked about the plethora of issues that definitely are on the table of the finance minister, the incoming finance minister, and so many others. Just give us an idea of who you expect or what you expect the Minister of Finance to be, either a technocrat or an administrator, or somebody more homegrown, if you like to put it that way.
Right. You would expect the Minister of Finance to be an economist, better if such has prior experience in running public finance.
Thank you so much for your perspectives this morning. Dr. Teriba is an economist giving us his thoughts on the finance ministry and some issues that will be faced by the minister when he or she is eventually announced. Of course, the conversation continues online. Don't forget you can be part of it on Twitter. We are at This Morning. You can follow the bigger brother at Channels TV, or follow me at Harriet Agbin and at Blossom Business. We'll be glad to mind your business. That's the show for today, the last edition in the month of September and indeed the third quarter. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm Harriet Agbin. Have a profitable day.